Good morning and welcome to the Hobby Second Breakfast Show. In today's episode, we're going to be doing the third episode in a series I've been doing on custom Star Wars Legions cards. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at Han Solo, Ezra Bridger, and Saw Gerrara. Now, so as I say, we've been moving kind of chronologically, more or less, through the sort of Star Wars series of films, and we've done sort of the prequels now, moving into kind of like the gap in between. So this is going to be an operative Han Solo. It's going to be a sort of Rebels version of Ezra Bridger, not the one you saw later in Ahsoka, and then kind of Saw Gerrera from a bit later on in the Clone Wars episodes and into Rogue One. We're going to start off with probably the strongest one, which is going to be Ezra Bridger. Here's his unit card. You can see it in front of you. I made him an operative rather than a commander. This might be slightly unfair, but I think kind of fits where he was at this time. Like, definitely not commanding the force at this stage, more of an operative. He gets jump 1 because he is a force user, even if he's not a particularly strong force user. He gets block rather than the typical deflect, because again, like, not perhaps a fully powered up force user yet, but still able to sort of block incoming fire. Immune Pierce, again, pretty standard for a force user. It's kind of what you'd expect to see. And low profile, just because he was a fairly small character, and I think sort of fairly agile, things like that. He gets a force slot, a training slot, and a gear slot. So again, you may have spotted some similarities between sort of this character and the Seventh Sister, for instance, who was recently released for Star Wars Legion, the Inquisitors. He gets no surges, 5 health with 3 courage. Again, sort of not a particularly strong character, so I think 6 would have been a bit over the top, and courage 2 felt about right. No surges, and his lightsaber is actually based off the Inquisitor's lightsabers, so it's 5 black. He gets critical 1, pierce 1, and impact 1. And because it was a lightsaber pistol, so it had a pistol in the handle, you sort of halve that, so a bit like a sort of a bit like saber throw, for instance. Kind of halve that dice pool, and you get the same keywords. No Master of the Force or anything like that. I think that would be not right to give it to him, especially as Ahsoka didn't get that. So we'll move over to his command cards. So for his command cards, his 1 pip is going to be the Force Isn't a Weapon. This is a 1 pip that only orders him. He's going to get Surge to block, so doesn't need a dodge token to activate that. He just gets Surge to block. And he can't make any attacks this turn. Any enemy unit who attacks Ezra gains 2 suppression. So this is kind of like a diluted version of Luke's. I think it's Luke's 2 pip. I'm a Jedi, might actually be a 3 pip. So it doesn't enable them not to attack, but if they attack him, they are going to gain suppression, gives him some nice defense. So for instance, if you're able to grab an objective, or if you were near an objective, maybe a payload or something, this would be a really useful card to have around. Moving across to his 2 pip, this seemed really appropriate. Like, he gets Teamwork Sabine Wren. I think him and Sabine sort of got really close as seasons went on. You saw that also in Ahsoka later on. The card is called It's Time to Bring Him Home, which is a quote from Sabine. This might actually be a little bit strong as is, but it kind of felt like it would be a nice thing for them to have, that actually that turn where you do play this and they do get teamwork, it is quite powerful. But when either of them are attacked, the other unit may perform a speed 1 move and gain a dodge token. Note, because they have teamwork, that would also enable the other characters to gain a dodge token as well, and that would activate something like Deflect on Ezra if you wanted to. So it is a very powerful card for this 1 turn. Again, really discouraging enemy units from attacking him. Not insanely powerful, because I don't think it's not like an overly offensive card, but it does just enable you to sort of be very defensive, and you would definitely avoid some wounds on both of these characters. Moving on to his 3 pip, we're strongest together. This is Ezra and 2 troopers. He's going to get Inspire 2 and Exemplar. For the remainder of this one's a little bit complicated. I'll try and explain as well as I can. For the remainder of this turn, the first time Ezra would exhaust each upgrade, it remains ready. So, for instance, if he was to normally have to tap something like Force Reflex to gain the dodge token, the first time he would do that, it doesn't get tapped, and so he could do it again. So it's kind of a roundabout way of saying you can use your exhaustible upgrades twice this turn, but yeah, I think this is quite nice. Because he only has 1 force slot, 1 training slot, and a gear slot, I don't think there's anything too crazy you could do. So yeah, I mean, double force push could be pretty powerful now I come to think of it, but that's kind of the limit of this card, I guess. But yeah, double force push could definitely be quite interesting with this card. But yeah, Ezra's just there to be. He's quite a defensive unit. He'll kind of allow your other units around him to maybe be sort of a bit defended, perhaps not directly by him, but things like teamwork with Sabine and things like that. So yeah, just a reasonably solid, not too hard hitting sort of force user that would slot into the back line of your army. Moving across to Saw Gerrara. Again, as I say, this is kind of Saw, as you can see from his picture, actually kind of into that Rogue One phase. So he sort of commands a group of quite extreme rebels, and I don't know if you can tell them terrorists or anything, but like they are performing sort of quite aggressive actions towards the Empire. He's 90 points, so kind of around that sort of mid-tier sort of rebel commander, along with Han, Chewie, Leia, Cassian, whatever. So not up with those really expensive ones, but he gets Take Cover 2, similar to Leia's ability. Again, this is just playing into like sort of guerrilla warfare, things like that. Gets Covert Ops, again, if he's sort of sneaking in behind the back line, stuff like that. You can go down to Operative. Again, as with Cassian, you would need another commander to take over from him if you did sort of do that infiltration. Danger Sense 3, same as Cassian, and Indomitable, because he seemed fairly brave on the whole, and yeah, gets those red defense die instead of white to remove suppression. He gets pretty much one of each thing. He gets a commander training, a gear, and a grenade. The grenade seemed appropriate because of the kind of actions that him and his forces take. Again, 5 health, 3 courage, felt kind of right. He gets Surge to hit and Surge to defend on white defense die. He is only speed 1 because at this point he was very old and sort of obviously not the most nimble character. So yeah, down at that speed 1. He gets the RPS-6 rocket launcher. He's shown with this. I think it's in the Clone Wars. He's shown with that, so that seemed quite an appropriate weapon for him to have. And he gets Train Brawling for 3 black, but again, you don't really want him to be in melee. Moving over to his command cards. His first command card is going to be Aggressive Tactics, named after the command card. He gains Gunslinger with the rocket launcher, just because. And any ranged attacks he performs this turn get Pierce 1. He may choose at the end of his activation to gain a standby or a dodge. So this is basically just him getting his rocket launcher out, getting in there, trying to do some damage. He could technically equip, because he has a training slot, I guess he could equip Sentinel to get that range 3 for the standby, but I think that'd be quite niche just for maybe this ability. But yeah, feels like quite a solid one, and again, just enabling him, if there are a couple of armoured units bearing down on him, he could get that rocket launcher out and do some damage. Moving over to his 2-pip. Not Alone We Don't. Orders 2 units. Each unit orders card. You gain a Surge token for each friendly unit at range 1. Saw Gerrara against Spot at 2. So he's kind of just coordinating his forces and yeah, keeping everybody together, as it were. So that Surge could be useful for defense and offense, especially if you're rebels and you're looking to surge on offense, because some of their units don't. And he gets Spot at 2 to again help sort of direct his troops to do a bit more damage. His 3-pip is sort of quite a chaotic one, but I think quite an interesting idea, and I hope it sort of comes across in the card. So it's Saw Gerrara and 2 troopers. He gains an immobilize token. So because he's speed 1, he's got an immobilize, he can't move. Other units of this card may perform a speed 2 move, and at the end of his activation, he must perform an attack against all units at range 1 with the following weapon, which is his rocket launcher profile, effectively. I don't quite know how that works, but that seemed like a sort of not too OP weapon for him to have. So the idea of this one is it's similar to the IG-88 attack. I think it's called... It's not called Destruction Protocols or something. It's something like that. It's a 3-pip. So what this would do is he can't move, but he buys time, hopefully, for his the friendly troopers ordered by this to run away, try and get out of the range of what's coming, and then he will attack everybody, including himself. I couldn't get that to come across. I think it's like a sort of red circle or something on IG-88's card, but that's the idea. It would hit all units, including friendly units, because he's just sort of blowing up and trying to take as many people as he can down with him. I think this one would be very situational. It would be quite a fun card to run and could potentially, in quite a niche scenario, be very good. Although that range 1 is kind of limiting, and the fact it's a 3-pip, so they might try, your opponent might try and get their sort of most dangerous or most valuable units out of range before you were able to do it. Finally, moving over to Operative Han Solo. I think this one is definitely one that should have maybe existed a while ago, and I hope will exist for real at some point in the future. But it's Han Solo, Charming Scoundrel. He's 90 points, and he has a training slot and a gear slot. He comes with quick thinking. Not sure whether this should exist, especially bearing in mind he would maintain teamwork Chewbacca, but that's fine, I think. He has Gunslinger, same as his other counterpart. Low profile, same as his other counterpart. Steady, same as his other counterpart. But he only has Uncanny Luck 2 rather than Uncanny Luck 3. And no Sharpshooter as well. He's 6 health with 2 courage, same as his normal card. He gets Surge to hit, not Surge to crit. And he is, again, on Surging Defense die. His Untrained Brawl is on 2 white, and he keeps his DL 44. So pretty similar to his normal card overall. The Quick Thinking, I think, is just a nice little addition, especially if you could go like Quick Thinking, move, shoot, shoot. That would be quite nice with that aim token as well. Where things will hopefully get a little bit more interesting is with his command cards. What I've tried to do here is sort of capture the sort of slightly sneaky, chaotic version of Han that perhaps we're hoping to see come through in Star Wars Legion, and basically all his command cards have sort of an interaction with your opponent's command cards, same as with like Change of Plans, which I think is one of the most interesting command cards maybe in the game, but definitely available to the rebels, in that like it can counter something your opponent is looking to do. So his 1-pip, everything sounds like a bad idea. Just orders him. If your opponent's command card has more pips than this, Han Solo gains a dodge and a standby. This turn, Han may attack the same unit twice when using Gunslinger. So the idea of all of these 3 cards is that if you don't activate the sort of effect that depends on your opponent's command card, they're kind of fine. So like Han Solo being able to attack the same unit twice with Gunslinger is quite nice. He might just be able to wipe out, quite a valuable unit by just shooting them twice. But if this does go off, getting that additional dodge token and that additional standby token for free is a really nice buff on top of what already is sort of hopefully a fairly solid command card. Moving across to his 2-pip, this one is entirely focused on your opponent's command card. If your opponent's command card has an equal number of pips to this, they must return it to their hand and select a different one. So kind of a similar idea to Change of Plans, but it relies on the number of pips that your opponent's command card has. Now, in a simplistic way, I guess you kind of have like a 1 in 3 chance of hitting. But like if you're able to, keep track of what your opponent's played and have a sort of knowledge of the kind of cards they might be running, that could definitely give you an edge here and make you more likely to hit on it. Moving over to his 3-pip, I've got a good feeling about this. I've got a bad feeling about this. It is a quote from Solo. I think I watched the film ages ago, and to be honest, it didn't really stick with me. Anyway, this orders Han Solo and 2 units. All units ordered by this card may remove up to 2 suppression tokens. So straight away, quite nice, just removing that suppression. Hopefully everybody's feeling more positive, although I'm not quite sure that's how suppression works, but anyway, we move. If your opponent's command card has fewer pips than this, those units that have been ordered may also gain an aim or a dodge token. Could definitely do with maybe rewording this card a little bit. It sounds like your opponent gets the aim or the dodge, but it's on the units ordered by this card. They may choose an aim or a dodge. So again, like by itself, if you don't trigger the effect, it's fine. Like a bit of a suppression bomb remover, like making sure your troops are ready to activate. A bit like maybe a recover, except you don't get to ready exhausted cards. But if you are able to, if your opponent's card has fewer pips than this, i.e. a 2-pip or a 1-pip, or the 0-pip if you're facing another Han, I guess, those units also gain an aim or a dodge. So that's a really nice effect to have on top of what the initial command card is. So yeah, I think Han's quite a tricky character to fully capture with his command cards, in the sense of like you want to do a bit of a scoundrel until he like maybe being a bit crafty and sort of outwitting his opponents. But hopefully these sort of quite these command cards that kind of depend on what your opponent is doing and maybe are a bit chaotic sort of capture the kind of idea we were going for. We're probably only got a couple more episodes left of the custom cards, if I'm being honest. Like, we're running out of characters that I would kind of be interested in doing. Like, I've got no intention of going into the sequels because I think that's just a mess. Maybe some stuff to do with like Ahsoka or like the Mandalorian, stuff like that might be an interesting idea, but for now just going to stick with kind of the main film. So next time will be like sort of some characters from A New Hope. You can probably guess which characters I might be taking from that one. But yeah, stick around if you've enjoyed that one. Drop us a like and a subscribe, and yeah, see you for the next video.